is really interesting.
Really?
Really interesting. Well, the thing that I've gotten over and over is like, oh, you're just belly, or like you can't even tell you're pregnant, and like, which I guess they're compliments, but it just, and then someone said, oh my gosh, like when I was pregnant, I was like ginormous, like looking at you just like makes me sick, because like just out of someone saying that out of jealousy, you know what I mean? And so it almost just makes me uncomfortable, because I'm like, well, I'm
What do you want
eating.
me to do? About
What do you want me to do? I'm sorry. Like, this is.
Well, in every doctor's visit, she's like, am I underweight? Is the baby going to be healthy? You know, freaking out because she gets it so often. And the doctor's like, the weight isn't really for the kid. The weight is for breastfeeding afterwards, because it's like running a marathon every time you breastfeed. And he's like, but, you know, as long as you're eating, and I mean, she definitely eats healthy, right? Like she's eating plenty of food.
Yeah.
It's just, she's not stuffing herself with Doritos. Like
Not eating junk food and shit.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not eating for two, because that was something that I heard from a lot of people is, oh, you need to eat for two. So like 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners. And I looked into the research and I was like, it's only an extra 300 calories a day
that you're supposed to be intaking.
Which is not a lot.
Which is not a lot.
It's a couple Oreos.
A granola bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How's everyone's day?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Oh, yeah, you're looking a little stony.
Do I look stoned?
Well, your eye's a little red.
I know.
Just from like rubbing it, probably. Obviously, not.
Well, I literally woke up
weed,
at 2:45 and could not sleep.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I like rolled over and just glared at Ken. I was just like, you mother.
For knocking you up?
No!
Why would you be glaring at him then?
Just because he's like just laying there sleeping so peacefully.
Oh, like an angel?
Like an
and you're
angel.
like, oh, God.
And I'm just like,
you did this to me.
This is all your fault. You know, just exhausted. So.
How's it going though? The pregnancy. Now that are you in the 3rd?
Yeah.
You are?
I know. Isn't
Home
that crazy?
stretch.
Home
Fuck,
stretch.
it's so crazy how fast it's going, and like I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But to look back and think it's gone by so fast.
I know.
Wow.
Like crazy fast.
Yeah.
I guess,
what's up with this tan too? You're looking tan as fuck.
Well, my baby shower's on Saturday. So.
And?
Well, you gotta.
There's gonna be photographers. Yeah. There's gonna be
It's a whole thing.
Red. Do you have like a, the backdrop to get the picture in front of?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Backdrop, flowers, photographer.
What does it say? The backdrop
on Cloud 9.
Oh, nice. That's a great theme.
So the theme is on Cloud 9.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Gosh, are you excited?
Yeah, really excited.
Are you?
Yeah, it's just crazy that it's already the 3rd trimester. I feel like we just found out yesterday, and now it's like, holy shit.
It does feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. It seems like just yesterday she told me. Seems like just yesterday we got back from Portugal.
I know.
Yeah, it does. Dang, that was January?
Yeah. We were literally on the flight home from Portugal, and I was like, my boobs hurt. I feel kind of crampy. I was like, I'm probably going to start my period soon. And I look at because we had Wi-Fi. It's like 16-hour flight. And I look at the app, and it's like, you are 10 days late. And I was like, oh, shit. And I show Ken, and he was like, oh, I'm sure just because like we were traveling, running around, all this stuff. And in my head, I was like, nah, dog. I was like, I've never been that late. So, yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are.
When's the due date again?
September 15th, which is so crazy because that was my due date with my mom.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Like, what are the odds,
I don't know. This shit's getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah. And then, but the last time we went in to see the doctor, he was like, don't even expect to make it to September 15th.
Oh, because he's so big?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a giant growing in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's that Viking DNA.
Yeah. That's what happened when 5'9" meets 6'6".
Yeah.
The doctor's like, yeah, no. Just be ready at like 37 weeks.
Popping that thing out.
Which is in 9 weeks. And so I was like, all right.
What are like the biggest things going through your head?
I think it's just crazy to me to think that like I guess everyone's always a work in progress. We're always like learning more about ourselves and growing and learning about the world and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're about to like teach an infant like from birth, you know, how to live and survive in the world while we are also still learning how to like live and survive in the world. So I think it's kind of just crazy to me that I always thought like when I was little, I would look at my parents and be like, they know everything, you know, like they're the experts. And, you know, just now realizing that they're learning or they were learning, you know, as I was learning because they'd never been parents before, kind of like we haven't either.
Yeah, totally.
I think some of the best advice I got was it's pretty hard to kill a kid these days.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Just don't kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I already killed my plants, so I'm not feeling really
all
confident.
Yeah, all right.
Are kids easier than plants?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way easier.
Okay, good.
Well, I don't know because Noah has been an angel since day one. Slept 100% since day one. Oh, never had a single fit of like sleep issues. Never.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So.
Angel baby.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely.
Did you sleep well as a kid?
Nope.
Oh,
No?
great.
I was very colicky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom said she used to have to pump my legs to get the gas out so I could go to sleep.
Oh, so she did find out how to get you. Oh, so it was just gas and just discomfort.
Yeah, and I had a waterbed crib, so my dad would lay under it and and I would just like shake to sleep. Or if I couldn't sleep from that, they said they would drive me around in the car and put Jimmy Buffett on.
Oh, nice.
And I'd fall asleep to that.
So
Cheeseburgers in paradise.
Hell yeah, brother.
Nice.
So if you see Ken and I just driving around town, cheeseburgers in paradise,
Yeah.
you'll know what's going on.
You'll be making story posts
Yeah,
of driving around.
exactly.
Yeah, but no, nowadays they have like that bassinet that rocks. Mm-hmm. Like I had one of those for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got one. Like rocks back and forth. Like has I don't know 20 settings. I'm like, can I get in there? Can I be like rocked to sleep?
Yeah, right.
Especially right now, can't sleep.
What other so for me, like when Noah was like not circumcised, never had a single shot to this day. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, like to your point earlier, is you're having a child when we're still learning how to be humans, but we're into some weird ass shit.
Yeah.
How's that been?
Luckily, we have the coolest doctor on the planet.
Yeah.
Dr. Brian Hodges is amazing. I didn't really think like going in that I cared who my OB was or like who the person really was that was going to deliver him, because I had always heard that it's pretty unlikely that your doctor actually delivers your kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like so many people that I've met say that they have an OB, you know, they're with them for the 9 months and then come time the doctor's sick or on vacation or can't get there or who knows, you know, just like all these unforeseen circumstances and like another doctor comes in. So kind of I just expected like, I don't know, like I don't really care because he probably won't deliver him anyways. But long story short, he rarely, what did he say? Like rarely misses a birth.
Yeah, he said he missed like 7 out of like
7,000.
Whoa. 7,000
Yeah.
he's delivered?
Yeah.
What?
Like he's a pro.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And like I feel like Ken says that I'm just easily sold on everything. I'm like the easiest marketed to.
You're a buyer.
Oh yeah. I am my own target market.
Yeah, for sure.
And
heard that though. Yeah.
So when I first met our doctor, I was by myself because he was delivering a baby, so he took so long that Ken had to end up leaving. But I was like, oh, I love him. He's amazing. But then I'm like, oh, is Ken going to like him? You know, because I was easily like, oh, he's great. But then when Ken came the next time with me, I was like, okay, so like, what do you think? And I was really pleasantly surprised that Ken loved him too.
Nice.
Because he's so open
Right.
to
He's into weird shit too.
Right.
yeah, like
Right.
vaccinated, unvaccinated. Like literally he walked in and we all had masks on because it was just right before they lifted the mask mandate at St. Luke's. And he walked in, just like took his off. He's like, you don't need that. And I was like immediately like, yes,
Nice.
this is our guy.
That's cool.
And we started talking about like trusts and birth certificates and all these different things. And he was like, oh yeah, I know about that. And what did he have? Like Black's Dictionary or
Yeah, Black's Law Dictionary.
He does?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 through
What,
10 in his office.
Whoa,
Yeah.
all right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he's in it, and he has 4 daughters, and he even knows how much it costs, because he said if you don't do a birth certificate, it costs you $2,000 in lawyer fees, because the state will automatically just make up a name and still send you a birth certificate for that child. And he said then it takes like $2,000 to get it removed. And he's like, ask me how I know. And I was like, how do you know? And he said, I have 4 daughters. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's in it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So we like very much lucked out
Totally.
with him.
Or it's just all working out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's badass. And Hannah and Jim are using the same. Or is it Brandy?
And Brandy.
Yeah.
Oh, so all 3 of you guys are using the same? Dang, he should have like a punch card.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah,
should have a
9
punch-
babies get 1 free, you know?
Yeah. And he delivered my mom's really good friend Caitlin's 2 kids.
Really?
And yeah, it's like all these people
Wow.
that I am like meeting and know. They're like, oh yeah, he was my doctor. He was my friend's doctor. And I'm like,
Well, when you deliver 7,000
Yeah.
kids, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a lot of kids.
I can't imagine there's more than like 500 kids a year that are delivered in Idaho.
Well, I mean, at 7,000, I mean, I've got to assume that there's been times he's delivered 2 in a day.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why he like is often late, because he rarely doesn't miss
Wow.
a delivery. And so we've had to wait for a little bit, but I'm like, that's fine.
You should ask him his record. What's the most he's delivered in a day?
In a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should.
That's
Be good to
wild.
know.
Because 7,000 is so many kids.
Yeah, and he's so chill about it. So my good friend Caitlin, he was her doctor, and I guess and he's so calm, like laid back, like just very, very good energy. And she was telling me the other day at dinner that he was like, okay, push, and so she's pushing, and then all of a sudden he looked at her just like super sternly and was like, stop pushing, and she was like, oh, okay, and didn't say anything, and then was like, did something, and then told her kept pushing. But what happened was the umbilical cord had wrapped twice around her daughter's neck, and if she had kept pushing, like it would have strangled her.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to tell her, obviously, my friend Caitlin, in the moment, like, oh, the cord's wrapped around her, stop pushing. So he's very good about like staying calm and just like getting through it and not freaking out.
Nice.
The person probably already freaking out.
Yeah.
Damn.
How do you think that like the being pregnant and all this is like affected like your business?
So influencing has been really, really interesting. So it was kind of like I was growing, at a fairly steady rate. I wasn't putting a ton of like my full effort into it, I guess. But I was really struggling with like, okay, well, what is my niche? Like, what is my like goal or purpose like with my Instagram? And just couldn't really figure it out. It felt very like, I don't know, just self-centered, and like everyone does fashion, and I don't know, sometimes I just feel weird like talking on camera, because I just don't love it all to be about me. Even though like I do love the center of to be the center of attention, like I don't know, not all the time.
I get what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so then I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And so I just I kept praying like 3 things like over and over and over. And like, I was like, I want to be like filled with God's purpose for my life. And I want to be rich by my 30th birthday. And I think those were the 2 main things. And so I just like kept praying that over and over, like, God, like show me.
Third thing
like,
was me, baby.
Oh yeah. And I was praying for Ken, but that,
Wish granted.
that already came true.
Knocked you up.
Yeah. So then
Now you got me.
You're mine now.
And so then what's so crazy is like, after I kept praying that, I'm like literally full, like physically full with like God's purpose for my life. Cause I did want to be a mom, like, for quite a while, not always, but for a long time now. And then, the being rich by my 30th birthday. So the irony is I'm due on the 15th. My birthday is the 14th. my initial due date with my mom was the 15th. So when I look at it, I think of like rich in a different sense.
Yeah.
Like not rich with money necessarily, but like in love and in purpose, and like rich in like all these other things, like for my life. And so kind of tying that back to the Instagram thing, I kind of thought, right when I got pregnant, I was like, oh my gosh, like my body's going to change, like fashion's going out the window, I don't know. I had no idea like what to expect or feel. And then kind of at the same time, I started working with my friend Shantae, who owns an influencer marketing agency here. And she's like, this is perfect. She's like, do fashion, do baby, do pregnancy, maternity, all these things. And I'm like, okay. And so we kind of just started branching out, and it's totally blown up. Like I can't even respond to like all of the DMs that I have.
No way.
From like businesses. Like, I mean, I'm getting like emails, DMs, texts. Like it's just kind of crazy that I'm like, whoa. Like I kind of expected my influencing to like maybe dwindle off, or who knows, but like it's taken off in like a whole new way that I never even expected. And I honestly feel even more comfortable doing it now because like I was saying earlier, like it's not just about like me anymore. Like it's about like us, which is really cool. And so I'm even more excited, when he comes, because then I'm like, oh, now, he can actually do it with me instead of, just being in my belly.
Would you set up an account for him?
I don't think I'd set up a separate account for him, because knowing me and like having to manage like 2 different Instagrams.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a little tough, and just growing his like from nothing right now, like in just how Instagram is and how bad the algorithms are. I just don't think it would be quite as successful. So I'd probably just have him like be on mine, matching fits, matching shoes.
Oh my god.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I mean, I definitely feel like your posts are much more there's just more purpose behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Which
like
I've been saying forever. I know I've been telling him, like, I as an influencer, like, I think so many women would connect more with you around the pregnancy and being a mom and the challenges and all the hurdles that you have to overcome. And plus, being with a fucking weirdo and these challenges, the vaccine, titles and all this other weird ass stuff. So
yeah,
it's been really cool to watch.
I think that it's going to be interesting to see if because I know that she's afraid to even tell our parents that we're not getting him vaccinated.
Well, they know now.
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
Well, just disclaimer. Everyone has their reasons for wanting to do certain things, so don't come at us.
Yeah. I mean, Noah's literally 8 years, never been sick.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like a day, like a little stomach flu or something, but never.
Dude, the thing that scares me the most is the autism thing. It's like boys now, it's like 1 out of 22 are on the spectrum, and girls, it's 1 out of 36.
After getting which vaccinations? Like all of them?
Well, and they can't relate it back to one vaccine. They just prior to vaccines in 89 being like a big thing, because before that, vaccines weren't huge, right? They blew up in 89. I think it was the Reagan administration that really started pushing. Basically what happened is he met with them. They said, hey, we're going to like cool out on making vaccinations. And he said, why? And they said, because we're getting sued too often and we just don't have like the funding to keep going. And so he said, well, why don't you just make them safe? And they said it's clinically impossible to make vaccines 100% safe. And so then he made it so you can't sue vaccination companies. And so now, segue into the future, anytime that they have a vaccine that they can't make any money on, they throw it into the pregnancy vaccination they're giving kids between 1 and 2 years old. And just the research I've done, because obviously I care a lot, and I was actually up in the air on the vaccine thing in the beginning, but from what I've seen is there are we're talking hundreds of thousands of cases where a mom says that the kid was fine.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
after a vaccine, now all of a sudden they got to wear a helmet and they're fucking bashing their head against walls and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I am like 100%, I don't want that to happen to my kid. And really, from what I've learned is from my studies at least, and I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or anything, but I feel like I'm pretty damn good at doing research
You're
these
not.
days.
That's why I'm with you. It's embarrassing.
But I feel like I'm pretty good at doing research these days. And what I've realized is, you know, in the 80s when vaccines blew up, there was a lot of other things that changed as well too. Refrigeration became more popular, cleanliness became more popular, you know. Gosh, our food sources last a lot longer, you know, people aren't getting sick as much. And really, most of the problems that we had were because it was filthy back in like the 1800 or the late 1800s and early 1900s. And so it really hasn't cut back on that many viruses because they were already dwindling, you know. Yeah. And then, you know, the hepatitis C vaccine, right? That's really they made that for prostitutes and, you know, very sexual gay men, right? But people like that, they don't care about whether they have a vaccine or not. So they're not spending money on vaccines.
I'm sure some people do.
Yeah, but I'm just saying overall, yeah, I mean, they're slamming heroin
Deviants.
and the deviants. Yeah. We're talking real degenerates. They're not paying money for vaccines. So, you know, they got to make that money up somewhere. And now they're throwing that vaccine into 2-year-old kids. So, or sorry, a couple day old kids. And so, man, yeah, I'm just, I'd take my chances with a virus, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. And I mean, growing up, you know, I was vaccinated and, you know, as a kid, and then got the flu shot every single year, got the flu every single year.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, always sick. And then, like, when I got older, honestly, I just got kind of lazy and probably didn't, like, realize, like, oh, I should probably go get a flu shot. Didn't even think about it. So I haven't had one in, I don't even know how many years, and have not had the flu since I haven't gotten the shot. So I don't know. That's just...
Yeah, same with me. I can't remember the last time I got a flu vaccination. I used to get the pneumonia because my dad gets it really bad. And as a kid, I got pneumonia every single year.
What?
And I got my collapsed lung because the pneumonia in itself causes soft spots on the lung called blurbs. And I had so many blurbs on my lung. And I was very skinny, right? I was tall and skinny. I was playing football, got hit a couple of times, and one of those soft spots gave out. And so when it's called a spontaneous pneumothorax. And at the time, I wasn't like, oh, this is the vaccination's fault. And who knows if it is? I'm just guessing, right? But I haven't had a pneumonia vaccine since that happened, and I've never caught pneumonia again. So,
yeah.
You know, numbers don't lie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's been interesting just trying to like navigate so many different opinions, so much information. I mean, you know, the second I got pregnant, it was so like sweet of everyone to like buy me books and things, but it was like almost information overload.
Totally.
And it was like, well, okay, which ones do you read? They all have
Right.
different information.
The thing that drives me nuts, though, is everyone has an opinion. Because I'm around Brandy and Caitlin a lot, and they're both pregnant at the same time. And they're either being
God
told
bless
that,
Ken.
yeah, they're either being told that they've put on too much weight or not enough weight. And I mean, everyone's trying to coach them on,
Right.
you know,
And everyone, I don't know. Like
they do it in a rude way, you know.
the image thing is really interesting.
Really?
Really interesting. Yeah.
Like what? People really say they're too much or not enough weight?
Well, the thing that I've gotten over and over is like, oh, you're just belly, or like you can't even tell you're pregnant, and like, which I guess they're compliments, but it just like, and then someone said, oh my gosh, like when I was pregnant, I was like ginormous, like looking at you just like makes me sick, because like just out of someone saying that out of jealousy, you know what I mean? And so it almost just makes me uncomfortable, because I'm like, well, I'm
What do you want
eating.
me to do? About
yeah,
it?
what do you want me to do? I'm sorry. Like, this is.
Well, in every doctor's visit, she's like, "Am I underweight? Is the baby going to be healthy?" You know, freaking out because she gets it so often, and the doctor's like, "The weight isn't really for the kid. The weight is for breastfeeding afterwards because it's like running a marathon every time you breastfeed." And he's like, "But." You know, as long as you're eating, and I mean, she definitely eats healthy, right? Like she's eating plenty of food.
Yeah.
It's just she's not stuffing herself with Doritos. Like
Yeah.
You're not eating junk food and shit.
Yeah.
When I'm not eating for two, because that was something that I heard from a lot of people is, oh, you need to eat for two. So like 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners. And I looked into the research and I was like, it's only an extra 300 calories a day.
That you're supposed to be intaking.
Which is not a lot.
Which is not a lot.
It's a couple Oreos.
A granola bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think, and another thing, and I've thought this and had to catch myself is, well, I'm getting bigger anyways. You know what I mean? Almost as like an excuse to eat ice cream.
Right.
Or, you know, eat a huge bowl of pasta. Because I'm like, well, I'm just getting bigger anyways, you know? And so it's been this like really weird, I don't know, just... Like at first, the first trimester was really, really hard for me because like I've dealt with eating disorders like my whole life. I've dealt with like body dysmorphia, and like it's very common for people in the first trimester to just feel really weird about being pregnant because you don't look pregnant. You just kind of look like you're gaining weight. None of your clothes fit. And I mean, Ken can speak to this, but the first time I tried on my like shorts that were always 2 sizes too big, you know, because I like baggy things. And so when I first put those on and they wouldn't even button and I was not even showing, you know what I mean? And so it just felt so weird and I don't know.
Triggering?
Yeah, and so triggering. And because I just started like bawling and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, you're not fat, you're pregnant, you know? So like, it was really, you know, sweet of him to console me, but it's, yeah, the whole like image thing is really interesting.
Do you think that going through this process, it has strengthened your self-confidence in relation to like the body, the image type stuff?
I think at the point I'm at right now, like it, at first, when I first found out, it was so shocking that we were pregnant. And then just, like I said, like gaining the weight and not actually seeing a belly, like that was just kind of just a mind fuck. But now that I feel like I'm not, well, I guess like I'm evening out more, like I actually look pregnant, I'm feeling better about it, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because someone would look at me and be like, oh, she's clearly pregnant, not just, you know, you put on 15 pounds.
Right.
So.
Well, and the eating disorder thing, I tell her she should open up more about, because gosh, it's crazy. Even just like girls in the past that I've dated that have had eating disorders, like I've heard about girls taking diuretics every day, or, you know, vomiting after they eat, or binge eating and then vomiting. You know, there's just so many different ways you could, and I think guys have them too. For you know,
sure. Oh yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of people open up about that stuff. And you know, you did a trip to a hospital, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I got mugged really bad in San Francisco, like almost broke my cheekbone. Like it was very, very traumatizing. And like typically eating disorders come from feeling out of control, and like it's a way for someone to control something. And so I kind of went like full blown into this eating disorder because I felt like I don't feel safe anywhere. Like if the water went from like hot to cold really quickly, I would go into a full blown panic attack because that sudden like shift felt like, you know, the instance.
You were
again.
assaulted? Mm-hmm. Like physically assaulted?
Oh yeah, twice in San Francisco.
Twice? Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you live there?
Yeah, I was there for 4.5 years for college. I lived like 4 blocks from Union Square, which if anyone's ever been to San Francisco, it's called the Tenderloin. I technically lived in Lower Nob Hill, but I called it the Upper Tenderloin because, I mean, this happened like 2 blocks from my apartment. Whoa. And so, yeah, I wanted to like run back to Boise and, you know, quit school. And I'm so thankful that my parents were like, you can, if you want, like, we'll help you move back. I had lived in San Francisco for 2 months when this happened.
2 months?
Yeah.
Holy
2 months.
shit.
And like moving from like Eagle, Idaho to literally the heart of San Francisco. I was like, what am I doing? And so yeah, I wanted to just like give up and run home. And my parents were like, yeah, we'll help you move back if you want, but like we think you'll regret it. Like we really, really think that you should stay and like push through. Like don't let this win, and you know, just live your life. And so I actually got a tattoo. It says we live with the scars that we choose, because I mean everyone has things that have happened to them and everyone has, you know, scars, but like, are you choosing to, you know, let it defeat you or like empower you to, you know, keep going.
So at first, like, it was very traumatic in the sense of even like the change in temperature of water would trigger you. Mm-hmm. How did you overcome it, or has it just been a process over time?
It was honestly just a process over time. I didn't really have a lot of resources in San Francisco. I was on like anti-anxiety medication, but I didn't go anywhere alone for a really long time. My mom stayed with me for quite a while. I had to like tell all of my professors, because like if I just like had a panic attack in class, like I wanted them to like be aware of, you know, what was going on. And then I mean it was crazy. So kind of like from that, you know, developed this like huge eating disorder, because I was like, I feel like I just can't even like control my like a body, like my physical like response to like stress or fear or anything.
Oh, so emotions. You couldn't control your emotions. Would you use the food to try to cope with the emotions, and then like it would like it's a double-edged sword, you know. You're in fashion, you're in beauty, and so it's like, oh my God, I have this overwhelming fear. I eat the food to try to cope with the emotions, and then it's like, oh my God, I just ate all this food. I got to get rid of it, or something like that.
I was like the total opposite. So
you just wouldn't eat.
So because I was working in fashion, I was on set all the time. I would see these like stick thin models, and sometimes they would have me stand in front of the camera to do like a test shot, so they could test like, you know, the lighting and just, you know, everything before the model stepped in. And of course I see this photo of me and I'm like, yikes, you know, compared to this model who does this for a profession. I just started comparing myself, and it just was like this downward spiral of like, oh my gosh, I don't look like that. I can't like control my own emotions. Like, what can I control? Like, oh, okay, I can maybe like try to be, you know, as thin as this person. And it just like totally went downhill from there. And yeah, like.
So because I don't think we've ever even like really dug in and talked about this. What were like the things that you went through? Like, what were you doing?
I'm like a very like all or nothing type of person. I'm either like full force into something or not at all. And so when I like started going down like the slippery slope of eating disorders, I was like, you know, how can I do this the best, I guess, in a horrible way.
Yeah.
You know, I was like,
best.
I'm going to be the best. Horrible. And so I was like not eating like at all. I was convinced that water caused water weight. So I was not drinking water.
Whoa.
I was drinking green tea and coffee because they're diuretics. Mm-hmm. And then I was over exercising. And that puts you into a complete calorie deficit. And then if I felt like I ate too much, I would throw that up. And then on top of it, you know, you get so constipated because like someone described it as you have to have something in the back of a truck, like to actually like dump out, if that sounds weird.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. So if you have nothing in you, you can't go to the bathroom. And so then I was so constipated that then I started taking all these diuretics. So like combine all of that into this perfect storm. my skin started looking horrible. My hair was falling out. Like, I mean, it just got to the point where like the guy I was dating at the time literally called my mom and was like, I don't know what to do. Like, but something needs to be done because this just is going, you know, really bad. So my mom came out there and like basically, it just like got to the point where my parents like, they were like, we're not gonna like court order you to go into a facility, like, but you know, basically if you don't agree to, then we might have to. And so, yeah, we found a clinic in Denver, and I spent, actually, I'm not really sure exactly how long, a few months there. In like it was like a partially inpatient. So I lived in an apartment, but it was with all other girls part of the clinic. So we like slept there, but then every morning at like 8 a.m. we like went to the clinic all day, you know, and then past dinner, and then we would go home.
Yeah. We don't have to dive too much into the clinic, but what were like your 3 biggest takes from the clinic?
I found a newfound connection for art, which was really cool. Because in between like classes and meals and stuff, you kind of have nothing to do. And so it was like a really good way to like reconnect with myself. And, you know, just because I had been feeling so out of control, I was like, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't even know what I enjoy. And so I just started like making collages, which is so fun because now we do those vision boards. And like, that's kind of where that all started. Just like putting all these like magazine clippings together and painting and reading and just kind of all these things to like help center myself again. And a huge realization for me was like, I like had never really wanted kids growing up because I just never grew up around kids, and just, I don't know, like never had that maternal instinct. I guess just because maybe I wasn't around them. Everyone was like my age, even my neighbors, cousins, like everyone. And so it wasn't until I was like in the clinic that I think it was my mom or someone said to me, like, if you don't get help, then you might not even have the ability to have kids if you want them.
Right.
And so that was like a huge like shocker for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine not having the option. And, you know, fast forward, I'm like so thankful for that time because like I truly believe between like that clinic and then, you know, doing ketamine was that last year? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like between those two things, like it totally just saved my life.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
The ketamine.
Big fan of ketamine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, in what way? Like, what do you think it's helped you with specifically?
So I don't really know what triggered it, but I kind of feel like last year I started feeling like really shitty again. Just so much anxiety, like so much depression. And it got to the point at work where if I had headphones on and someone would come up behind me to like tell me something or like tap me on the shoulder, basically if someone startled me in any way, I would go into like a full-blown panic attack.
Wow.
And like to the point where I would like call Ken. I'm like, I don't know if I can drive. Like, I don't know what to do. And then it just got to the point where it just felt totally unmanageable, where normally that's when like my eating disorder would kick in because I'm like, I need something to manage or, you know, like control. And luckily Ken knew Nicole. And so he was the one that recommended, like, let's try the ketamine clinic. And I was just at the point where I was like, I'll try anything. Like, I don't really want to take more, you know, SSRIs or prescription medication if I don't have to.
Yeah.
But this sounds interesting. And yeah, I went in, and I think just after dealing with like anxiety and everything my whole life, I took the assessment. So I can't remember how many tests it is. Is it like 4?
I think it's like 7.
All combined into one questionnaire, though. Yeah. So it rates each level.
But it's like trauma, anxiety, depression. Like, I can't remember what they all are. Like
I don't
PTSD.
Either.
There's like 4 or 5 like things that they're testing for to see like where you rank on that scale. And my anxiety, like my daily anxiety one was like almost at the very top number that it could be. Like that's how, like I literally felt like I was having a panic attack like all day long. And Nicole said, we'll cut this in half. Like give me, you know, 7 sessions and this will be cut in half. And I laughed. I was like, yeah, right. You know, I was like, I've been to therapy. I've been on, you know, anxiety medication, like all these things. And I'm like, it just, I don't know. Like I was just born anxious. And so like, that's something that, you know, was like programmed into me. And so, yeah, I was like, well, what do we got to lose? Cause you know, feeling pretty bad. So yeah, did the 7 sessions. And I mean, even after just the first one, I felt like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders.
And mind everybody that listens to this also, because like I know from experience from me, like I look at this as like space travel, like because I've done psychedelics prior to going to the ketamine clinic. So like when I go in there, I'm like, I'm ready to blast off. I just know Kate had never done anything like that.
Yeah.
And that was one
Never
of the...
eaten mushrooms.
That was
like had an out of body experience.
Nothing.
That was one of her biggest fears when I brought it up to her was like she was afraid of tripping out. You know what I mean?
Because I smoked weed, but I was like, I don't want to like trip out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, let's dive into like the fear that you had being somebody that has never done anything like that before. So that because I think that that's what's holding a lot of people back that we talk to is like being afraid.
Were you afraid like the first session going in? Like was there anxiety like on before session 1?
Yeah, I think there was anxiety on like both fronts. Like I was anxious that I would blast off into outer space and be, you know, just total out of body, which goes back to feeling in control. And then the other part was I was afraid that it wouldn't work. So it was like I was afraid it would work too much, and then I was afraid it wouldn't work at all.
Right.
And so it was kind of this like just, you know, uncomfortable place to be. But I was just kind of at the point where I was like, I gotta try something. So like my final thought before, you know, going in and booking the treatment was I'd rather see what this is about and, you know, try it rather than feeling like I feel right now for the rest of my life. Because I was like, what's worse, you know, like feeling like this every single day or maybe tripping out for 45 minutes. And that's, you know, kind of where my head went. And, you know, I'm so glad that I like took that leap, because I've talked to a few people and they're scared that it's going to cause them, you know, another panic attack, or they're scared it's going to cause them more anxiety, or like that they're going to trip out and all these things. And I'm like, but believe me, like how you feel right now is so much worse than relaxing in a chair for 45 minutes.
Yeah, because is there any after like knowing what you now know, is there anything to really even be terrified of?
No.
Would you also say like there's like the degree of like I don't want to use the word ecstasy, but like just joy and euphoria and just like you feel so amazing. It's so easy to just let go and just go for the ride.
Yeah, I almost like after the 7 sessions were completed, I had to like kind of check myself, because I felt so carefree and lightweight that I kind of felt like almost like I don't have a care in the world. This is great. You know what I mean? And so I kind of felt like for a second I went the total opposite from like caring so much and like trying to control everything to like, nah, whatever happens. And so, yeah, it was just really interesting to see that outcome, because I kind of thought like, oh, that could never happen.
Let me ask you this, like, can you remember any specific like major shifts that happened in your reality like through this process? Like any like things that would normally trigger you that didn't anymore, or I don't know how to explain, just like major shifts.
So, I actually had to like tell my work like like, please don't come up behind me. Like, don't tap me on the shoulder because like it will send me into a panic attack. And like, I even got a mirror and like put it on my desk, almost like a rear view mirror.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And like one of my coworkers kind of joked like, oh, that's vain of you to have a mirror on your desk. I was like, whatever. But
I'm watching out for you, lunatics.
yeah, I was like, I need to see like who's coming up.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, after doing the ketamine treatments, like, yeah, someone could hug me from behind, you know, tap me on the shoulder, whatever. It doesn't even, my brain just doesn't even go there anymore. It's crazy. And what's also interesting is I see people now that I feel like were me. Like, I see people that are living their life on a daily basis, like how I felt before, just so much anxiety, like feeling like they have to control everything and worrying about everything. And I mean, Ken knows, like, I still worry about plenty of things, but I feel like not on the level that I was before.
There's two things I want to bring up. One thing is dating somebody with anxiety like that, right? It's almost like dating an alcoholic in the point where it's like, it's very heavy. You know, you're like tiptoeing around them. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but you still love them, you know? So at the same time, you're like, you're almost kind of like getting abused in your own sense. Like, there was like 3 or 4 days a week that she would have like a breakdown over nothing, and I was
over
like,
nothing.
And I was like, oh fuck, dude, I don't want to like say something wrong or do something wrong.
I'm about to change the locks.
Yeah, exactly.
No, okay, it was not like, it was never mean.
Just joking. No, like, he's gonna lock you out.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well,
you've
that's
been
maybe
kicked
fair.
out.
Yeah, see you
I
later.
can't do this anymore, lady.
Yeah. But you know, I do notice that, like, dude, we're doing better than ever, you know. And then the other thing I want to bring up is there was a time she came home, and I don't remember which. There's 2 times in the session. There was one where she almost like took too much off and had to do like a refresher. And so I think that's why you did 7 instead of 6, because they do suggest you do 6, but she had to do a touch-up one a day after.
Yeah, they do say sometimes, like, if you might get to a certain point where it almost feels like you went a step backwards, and because it's bringing up so much stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, and you're like purging all of this like horrible energy. And so they did mention that to me, that you might have to do like a reset session, and that is like exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But
and then there was one day she came home like Rain Man and just started scribbling random shit into a book.
Yeah.
We're talking like 16 pages of just like, it didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Mind dump?
It was
good for
a total
you.
download.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, when someone says that you just get a download, I mean, it was like, what's that movie where he like the number 3 or something?
23 or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what's the movie? He like sees it everywhere and like writes
23.
it everywhere.
Yeah,
Is it 23?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I literally felt like that. It's like I couldn't stop scribbling in this journal. But then when I went back and read it, like, it did make sense to me. And it was like, I basically concluded this like scribble session with like, I found the root of my trauma, and like something that I had never even really thought about or like realized maybe caused so much of like my anxiety and like depression, like on a daily basis. You know, it all just stems back to, you know, like when we were kids usually. But yeah, it was like this total mind dump of just getting to the root of the issue, which was so cool because I don't think I ever would have like, it never would have even like come to my mind if I hadn't have like gone through the ketamine. But it's interesting because we had totally different ketamine experiences. Like, you know, he's done psychedelics, so he was ready to blast off, and so he was seeing like real, or, you know, you were like seeing like friends and just like actual images and stuff. Mine was just like, it was almost like a roller coaster. Like, my eyes were closed, it was like I was taking a nap, and for 45 minutes like it was just like just going almost like around this like roller coaster, and all I saw were just like shapes and colors just kind of like swirling around. And yeah, but what's what I want everyone to like take away from ketamine, because it, when I'm describing it, it sounds like you're just having a trip, which I guess you kind of are. But the way I look at it is I've been on SSRIs like my entire life, like since kindergarten, I'm pretty sure. And I always felt like they were just masking a problem. Like they don't actually heal you. Like if you stop taking it, you'll probably end up worse. You know, you don't get better from them. They just keep you baseline, I guess. And so the best way I can describe the ketamine is that it actually like reprogrammed my brain. Like truly.
Well, and that's what you were doing. Because I mean, I've spent a lot of time with my eyes closed on psychedelics, and that and you never explained it to me like a roller coaster, but in the past when I have been on a roller coaster, right? You know, I feel like you're going through memories, or you're going through your brain and like realizing like, oh, that's not that big of a deal, you know, or right. Like, oh, well, that's in the past. Now I'm, you know, something new. So, you know, yeah, you're right. You are reprogramming. It's like a factory reset.
Yeah.
That's what Gary
like
and
truly
I call it.
A factory reset. And
like go ahead.
And I'm just so thankful that I was able to complete that before finding out we were pregnant.
Of course, it's almost like you had to go through it to even get pregnant, to like you're saying, reprogram yourself. Like when you're talking about like the scribble sesh, to me, that's like you were working out all the shit. It was like unconscious. You're just getting everything out. But let me ask you this, like when you were going through, because like, I mean, we've had very similar experiences, fucking time travel and just weird ass stuff. When you were going through yours, being that like there wasn't like a dream and clear like images, was it emotional? Like emotions would come up, or?
Not really. Like that's what was really interesting to me, is I kind of expected like more. Like I expected to like, I don't know, come out of it crying, or like, I don't know, laughing hysterically, or like who knows, you know. I kind of just expected like a lot more emotion, but it was actually better than I expected, because the thing I used to just wish for all the time and like pray about was just like, I just want peace. Like I just want to feel at peace, you know, just in my mind, in my body. And that's exactly how I felt coming out of it. Like just absolute peace. And so it was like, it wasn't what I expected, but it was exactly what I needed.
Mm-hmm. And I just have to note is that the way you put it, you know, you see so many people that are suffering from these conditions of their own mind. And it's like, knowing what we know, we're like, because I tell everybody, I'm like, you got to do ketamine. Like everybody.
Same.
Yeah, you got to do it. And it's like, because we know, like, we've gone through it, so we know how impactful it is. We know how powerful it is. So it's like, I just want the best for you.
Yeah.
Like, you, especially.
Like, you don't have to feel like this.
Yeah. Because, like, he was saying, like, I don't know anxiety. Like, I don't live in that world. So, like, my son's mom, she suffered with anxiety. You suffer. Like, so I would say, and I'd be like, get over it. Like, I don't even know what it is. I don't know what that feeling is, you know? And so, for you to describe your experience and then to say, hey, it decreased by 50% or more, or whatever you went through, it's like, yeah.
What were your final results?
Man, I don't know the exact number, but all I remember is like, I still have them on my phone, but there's 2 graphs, and literally it showed from before my first session, you know, the anxiety was basically at the top. And then after my last session, it was like way down here. And it was just wild. Like I remember sending it to like multiple people. I was like, I did not believe this, but I'm very much like a, you know, I have to see it to believe it type of thing.
You got a graph.
Yeah, I got a graph. I saw it and I believed it. Because I also felt it. You know what I mean? It'd be different if someone showed you a graph and they were like, oh, you improved 50%, and you're like, well, that's nice, I don't feel different,
right?
But, yeah,
so powerful what you just said right there.
But I truly felt like when I was looking at that number, I was like, wow, like that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy too for me, because you know, I had next to no anxiety and next to no depression, but my trauma was testing so high. And then like for me, it was weird because it was like, I don't even really remember my childhood, but like after the ketamine sessions, I was remembering more of it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you got any problems, really go do the ketamine.
Oh, and one thing I really want to hit on is postpartum depression. So
And yeah,
when I found out we were pregnant, I was so concerned, like, oh my gosh, like I've dealt with depression my whole life. Like I'm for sure going to get postpartum depression, but that's just also trying to reframe my mindset of, nope, I'm not going to get it. Like I'm not even entertaining the idea that it's going to happen. But if I get to that point and it does, ketamine is amazing for that. And I think it's FDA approved now. And a huge thing that they are now promoting is postpartum depression.
wow.
Because there's not enough studies to do ketamine while you're pregnant. So I haven't done it since I've been pregnant, even though I wish I could. You know, I just don't want to risk anything. But postpartum, I'm like, hell yeah, sign me up. If I start feeling, you know, shitty again, I'll be in there the next day, because I want to be the best mom for, our son, and like the best partner to Ken. And like, I know that it's helpful. So I wish more, moms knew about that.
Right.
As an option.
Damn. Yeah, that's...
And one thing I also want to bring up is it's not like addicting in the fact that like you feel like you have to do it all the time.
Right.
Not at all.
Because I think that there was probably a year, because I just recently did a session, and there was probably like a year in between my last session and the one I just did. Mm-hmm. But you definitely know when you're due, you know what I mean? You're
yes.
like, oh shit, I felt this before, Right. And it's like, and also though, this last time I probably let it go probably a month, or two, where I was just like, oh, I'm going to do this on my own, fight through it.
Interesting point too. Yes.
Yeah, because at some point I want to get to the point where I can control my own emotions and not need to rely on something to feel better, But I think that it went pretty good for those 2 months. But then I got to the point where I was like not doing tasks, spending a ton of time on my phone. It's weird how you try to distract yourself from feeling down, right? And it's usually distracted with mindless things like being on Instagram or watching television
procrastinating.
or procrastinating,
right. Which is actually just compounding emotions on itself. Because like when you procrastinate or you're on social media, it's still it's still creating emotion.
Yeah.
And so like if you don't have a solid tool to eliminate the emotion or to release the emotion, like it's going to build up.
Yeah. And usually if you're procrastinating, like for me, I know I usually procrastinate with a task because I'm like scared about doing it.
Right.
Like it's going to turn out really bad, or it's not going to be perfect, so I shouldn't even try it, So it's like there's always like a root to why we do things. And so if you can help eliminate the fear behind it, then in my experience, like I end up not really procrastinating anymore.
No, that hits the nail on the head. That's the only reason why we don't do anything, because the pain of doing it is greater than the pain of not doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. When you go through, like you were saying at the end of the session, you're just so carefree. It's like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong.
I honestly felt like I could do anything, because I was like, there's so much fear was gone that I was like, I can start a business, I can work 3 jobs, like I can do anything. Like I almost felt like a superhuman, because the fear that was holding me back from doing all the things that I wanted to do was just like gone.
That's so awesome.
And now I'm just tired because I'm pregnant.
But your sleep has been good? Because now you got insomnia?
Yeah.
Oh my, is it because of discomfort of the belly getting in the way or what?
No, I don't know. I mean, they say that insomnia can be a symptom of pregnancy.
Sure.
I've also had really, really bad congestion, which is also a symptom of pregnancy. Your body.
Really? Congestion?
Yeah, I think I was reading like your sinus passageways are swelling because there's so much more like hormones and blood flow and just everything going on. So I just can't breathe.
Yeah, she sounds like the nerdy kid from like the funny movies, you know, she's just all day long.
I mean, that's my whole entire life. Like,
What is
I
that?
can't breathe right now through my
Thanks,
nose.
babe.
Major Pain, you know, the like dorky kid
yeah.
with the big ears at the
Yeah.
beginning, you know. What are you laughing at, ass eyes, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to say that next time when you're laughing at me. You're laughing at ass eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
How do you think that being pregnant has brought you guys closer together?
I mean, personally, well, actually, I don't know. Do I want to hear from you first?
No, I want to hear from you first.
Okay. No, you hang up.
I love you more.
I personally feel like it's like we've always been really close. I mean, Ken's my best friend. Like I've never dated someone where they were just truly like my best friend. Like if anything like good or bad happens, like he's the first person that I want to call. But I feel like even getting pregnant and like talking about like how we're going to raise our son and just, you know, talking about being health conscious and like what, you know, good nutrition is, like I feel like it's just brought us like even more closer and closer because like we are building this foundation, you know, as like a couple and a partnership and like a, you know, religious foundation like for our son to be like brought into. Because my biggest goal is like I want him to come into this world and like see us as like such a good example of like what a healthy relationship and like what a happy relationship looks like, because I didn't have that growing up. You know, I don't think you did either. Just good example of like a healthy, you know, parental relationship. And yeah, so I love being pregnant with you.
Yeah.
I'm excited to.
I love lamp.
Yeah, I love lamb. I love lamb. I would say that everything that I've been through in life has brought me to this point, you know, because gosh, I can't imagine having a kid as 20-year-old Ken or 25-year-old Ken. I was a giant fucking turd, you know? And gosh, we weren't planning on having this kid right now, but when she told me, like, I was so excited. And I think that like even more, I just like want to be even more honest with her and everyone else around me. And I think that's really what's brought us closer together is, you know, than any relationship I've had in the past is like, she truly knows who I am and I truly know who she is. And there's not really anything that I'm trying to hide or she's trying to hide. And I think once you reach that with somebody, you know, it gives you like a very special bond because you can open up or be the person that you want to be to them, instead of putting on this like fake facade or, you know, you just feel comfortable, you know, and very few people have I ever felt that with, you know. Obviously I feel that with you as well too, where I feel like I could just tell you guys anything and yeah, I think even just our conversations that we have are deeper and yeah, I think I love, you know, she has her little oasis in the backyard. It fucking cracks me up. Like just like little things that make her make me laugh and, you know, give me excitement because I know that our kid's going to be raised by a good woman and, you know, I'm going to be the best dad I can be. So I'm just excited to see how this kid turns out because my dad was a fucking giant turd, you know, and I turned out okay. So yeah, I wonder what it'll be like if he has two great parents, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's going to be Neo or something.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, because we aren't married and like there was a lot of things that I feel like come up when you find out you're pregnant that you really have to agree on. And so I feel like it like makes or breaks a relationship. Like, you know, the whole vaccine thing, like how are you going to raise them? Like just lifestyle choices, religious choices. There's so many things that, you know, come into play when you're like, all right, it's not just about us anymore. Like we're bringing in a little human into this world. And so I'm just so thankful that I feel even more comfortable because like we are just so much on the same page that it just gives me like so much more like faith and security, like that this is the right relationship, and you know that he's gonna be one hell of a cool kid.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are two hell of cool people.
Thanks.
It's definitely a match made in heaven. So it's real. It's not just, you know, an Instagram relationship.
Oh my gosh. I cannot
It's
believe
real love.
that is a true rumor. Like people have asked, like, are you guys really just like, are you together for
Speaking
Instagram?
of, I think he was telling me you're a couple months late on those checks, the relationship checks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you owe me some money.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. We need to do another collab, then I'll send you your check. But yeah, and then someone said the other day, oh, you trapped him into a relationship. Like you trapped him into a relationship with you by getting pregnant.
Do they even know you though? Really,
I was
the
like,
person.
What?
Oh my gosh.
That is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. Like, because if you like know Ken and I together, that's like the furthest thing like from the truth. Like, no, we're not dating just for Instagram. That's insane. Like, no, we're not having a kid just for Instagram. Also insane.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, we would be together if we were not having a kid also.
But just that's why I even asked. I think that having the child has been such a blessing to you guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's brought you guys closer. It's uncovered obstacles even before you got pregnant. You know, going through what you went through with the ketamine and growing like you have since I've known you, you've grown freaking leaps. Both of you, my God, have grown just so much. It's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And, you know, the short time I've known you, but I've known him for quite a while, is that it's incredible. So now, you know, once that kid comes out, you know, I think it's going to be just even better.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy that, like, I feel like I probably could have tried to get pregnant for a long time, but it was never the right time. Like, I know that everything's like in God's time.
To trap him in?
What?
You would have tried to?
No.
I'm just joking.
I just mean that, like, it happened exactly when it was supposed to.
Totally.
Because, like, what you were saying of who we are, like, how much we've grown, like, how much work we've done, like, on ourselves. Like, yeah, I can't imagine, like, you know, getting pregnant when I was, like, going through the eating disorder and, like,
right.
You know, feeling so, like, just self-centered sometimes, like, you know, yeah, like, it was not meant to be at that time. So I feel so thankful that we did the work on ourselves, because I just feel like even if you are trying to get pregnant, but you're not trying to better yourself, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe it will, but.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Gary's talked to me about this plenty of times, but he thinks that like you choose your parents, and, you know, maybe if that is true, because we don't have any facts behind that, right? But if that is true, like I chose my parents so that I could go through all the things that I had to, and I've always felt this way, that there are lessons that you come on this earth that you have to learn, to, I don't even know. And I think some people either give up, right? Or some people don't learn the lessons that they have to, so then their kids have to learn. One thing that makes me think about that is, you know, when we were at the storage unit and that dad was yelling at his kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it like totally triggered me, and I was like ready to kill this guy. And I was like, you know, 20, maybe 30-year-old Ken and below would have like murdered this guy. But I was like, oh, I'm trying to be peaceful. And I totally missed the mark at the time. But that night when I was like praying and meditating, it hit me. It was just like a download. Like, dude, Ken, I made you this fucking massive ass man, you know, to show love to those people. And if they do hit you, you're big enough to take a hit. And I think we've talked about this on past episodes, so I won't dive into it too much. But at that moment, I realized like, whoa, this is like one of the big lessons I was supposed to learn. And then segue to not even that much longer ago, I don't even know how long ago it was, I realized that you know, my dad, the reason he's such a turd is because he had to create this character, this tough guy character, and he's stuck in it. And, you know, I was stuck in that tough guy character for a long time. And now I feel like I've broken free and I am who I truly am, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like I was living a lie, being a fake person for such a long time. And it was because I had to create this tough guy character to make it through my childhood. And I don't even think it was maybe the ketamine was just, you know, 30%, right? Like I'm just chipping away at this, working on myself, but realizing that it's like, man, and you saying like, oh, I see these things that these people have, you know, I see that guy every day now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Or, you know, just, yeah, you see these problems that these people have and you just want to help them, but really, you know, you can help a little bit, but they really they need to help themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone has like goals and dreams like for their lives, but sometimes they don't realize that what's holding them back from truly achieving it is themselves.
Totally.
And it's like, you know, I wanted to be a mom for like a long time now, but I felt like I was like holding myself back, not from being a mom, but like just from getting to the next level, you know, in my life. And I ended up.
Well, and it goes even deeper. It's not you holding you back. It's this character that these people create, you know, whatever traumas, whatever, you know, things that they downloaded as a kid, that they learned or, you know, missed or whatever. So you have to like almost like get rid of that person to then start accepting like all the stuff that you need to, you know?
Yeah, totally. Like evolve that person.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like for both of you, like you guys have grown and evolved and developed new characters so much in the last, you know, 12 to 18 months that, of course, once you get to that level, the next level of growth is having a child.
Yeah, like new level unlocked.
Yeah, exactly right. And so on the new level, God and the baby, from my perspective, is like, oh, okay, they're ready.
They're ready.
They're ready, and they're ideal that I'm going to learn so much from them. So,
Yeah.
We passed go.
right.
We collected $200.
And it never ends. Like, it never ends. Growth never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it can end.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then that's when it's bad because
Right.
Yeah, because there are people out there that don't want to grow or they just get stuck in that old player character.
Right.
or they think they've
they're-
grown enough.
Right.
They're NPC.
Yeah.
And you hear people say it all the time, like, I'm already perfect or I don't need to change, right? And
Right.
And I actually used to be that person. I used to think like, I used to say this all the time is like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks or like people don't change. And then I've changed so much that I'm like, man, it's almost like you can't judge anybody anymore. Cause it's like, oh, well maybe they've changed. Like, yeah, he was a dick back then, but I've changed so much in even just a year that like, I'm hoping that this person changed. Let me fill him out. But because you have been through so much, you can almost like tell when you first see him, like, oh, nope, this is the same person I knew before, you know? But you're so quick to realize these things now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, good job. Both of you guys.
Don't leave me hanging.
Get it in there.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Like the Power Rangers.
Oh, man, that's awesome. You guys excited for tomorrow?